Welcome everyone and welcome to today's video. Today we are going to be ranking our top single-seater cars on iRacing. Now for anyone who isn't familiar with my channel, I race in VR, and for me there's no better experience in sim racing than being in VR and racing in a single-seater open cockpit car. Having all that free air around you is just so immersive and absolutely love it. Now I've been on iRacing for a few years now, raced a number of their single-seater cars, and that's why we're doing a top 10 video. Now a little bit of a porky here guys, it's not actually a top 10 video, it's a top 9 video because I haven't actually got 10 single-seater cars that I own. iRacing has quite a few and there's a couple on here that I haven't actually raced. So I do apologise if the cars that I haven't raced are your favourites. You can have a go at me down in the comments below. But there's just not enough time in the day or the week to give every single car a go. Now, this ranking list as well, guys, it is only going to be for cars that I have driven and cars that are currently live in their own series. So no legacy cars, no cars that are in the past and been discontinued. So only cars that are currently active on the platform. Although you can drive every single one in practice, but yeah, ones that have their own divisions, league, series, and alive. So yeah, but lo and behold, let's head into our top 9 single-seater video, and yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. But ultimately, it's my opinion, and I do care, but I don't care. But yeah, let me know in the comments. So let's head into it. So I thought I'd start off with the cars that I currently don't own. And as you can see here, we're on the buy page of iRacing in the UI. And as you can see, I don't have the Dallara IR18, or more commonly known as the IndyCar, Formula Renault 2.0, Lotus 49 and Lotus 79. The McLaren and the Williams F1 cars there, they no longer have their own active series. You can still purchase and race them in practice or hosted races, but I won't be purchasing them considering we have the Mercedes now as well, which is currently active. But yeah, the other cars, the Dallara IndyCar, I'm quite highly informed that this is a very good car, especially on the road circuits as well. A few people I know race it quite regularly. The Formula Renault 2.0 was a car that joined the platform after I progressed out of D license. When I was at D license, I was racing the Skippies. That was the open wheel car that was around at the time. So kind of once I got out of D license, I never looked back at Formula Renault 2.0, but I know lots of people on the platform now and friends of mine who plied their trade in single seaters in that car, and they have fond memories of it. It's still active to this day, but with the with other series and other cars being added at D license, not as popular anymore. Lotus 49 is a car that I just have never had really any interest in racing, and the Lotus 79, once again, never really been on my radar, but I have seen on YouTube, Twitch, a few content creators absolutely love this car, and I believe it does have quite a strong community. So maybe I'll give it a go one day. But yeah, all 4 of those cars, I apologise if any of these are your favourites and you race them on the regular. You can have a go at me in the comments below. There's just not enough time in the day for me to race these cars. But yeah, let's head on to the cars that I do own and our top 9, not top 10, top 9 single-seater cars on iRacing. Coming in at number 9, bottom of our list, is the Dallara IR01, the fantasy car that was put together by iRacing and Dallara, a combination of Indy and F1 cars of the past had a screaming V12 engine, and it sounded good on paper. There was a bit of backlash in regards to the fact it wasn't a real car, but us in the sim racing community, we gave it a go, particularly us F1 lovers, and it just didn't hit the mark. It was so far away from being a drivable car, especially on release. I've never driven something that just wanted to kill you as soon as you put your foot on the throttle. The thing would spin in fifth, sixth gear. That's how much torque they had on it. Putting this video together for you guys, driving it here around Imola, it has massively improved, but it still does not feel comfortable whatsoever, especially after driving the current Mercedes F1 car, the W12 that we have. It is just, yeah, it's very squirrely and not enjoyable. And don't get me started on who thought it was a good idea to have those wing mirrors. I mean, if anyone hasn't driven this car, those wing mirrors on the little screen that goes round the front, I mean, in VR, you can't even see out of them. So yeah, whoever thought that was a good idea deserves you need to bang your head on the table. But yeah, I'm really surprised that this still has a series as well. Very, very low participation. From what I've seen, there's very few official races. That's how low the participation is. I don't know why iRacing still kind of has it on the calendar, if I'm honest, with so many other good cars that they have available now. But yeah, this is why the Dallara IO1 comes in at the bottom of our list. Coming in at number 8 on our list is the Formula V, the first single-seater car that is available to us on the platform in the Rookie series. And this car, I have a very different perspective than if I had started on the platform most recently. As I am a bit of a speed freak, this car doesn't really do anything for me. I will say that it is a good experience for people who are new to the platform and want single seaters, especially if you're new to VR as well, because there's just so much air around you when you're driving this thing in VR. It can be good fun, and it does race around smaller tracks. It doesn't go around big Grand Prix tracks because it doesn't have the speed. But yeah, it just doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't give me that fizz. There's not enough speed, and most of the time you're in a single gear. You don't even change gear for the whole lap. So it's yeah, just can be a bit boring, if I'm honest, and that's why this comes down at number 8 on our list. Coming in at number 7 on our list is the Skippy, the Skip Barber car. A car that has been on iRacing for a number of years now. This was the car that I spent a lot of time in when I was working my way up the licenses, and is my first ever experience in a single seater. Before I even had VR, I was on a single monitor, and the Skippy is where it was at. A car that is still good fun to drive these days. I don't jump in it really anymore. I spend my time elsewhere, but you can really throw this car into corners, and you do get some really good wheel-to-wheel racing. And also, do you know what? No one likes crashing, but the crashes are pretty spectacular as well with the new damage model that is on it. It's pretty much the Formula V's big brother, as you can see from its look as well. But yeah, a car which unfortunately now doesn't get the participation that really it probably deserves. That's just because there's so much more of a wider variety of cars, single-seater and closed cockpit that are available now. But yeah, a car that I think will just forever be on iRacing, and yeah, will go down in history on the platform. But yeah, that's the Skip Barber car, the Skippies, down in at number 7. Coming in at number 6 is the Formula Renault 3.5, a car that I have a real love-hate relationship with. I must admit, I don't drive this car probably anywhere near enough to get a handle of it, which is why this comes down a lot further down our list, and some of you may be surprised. I love it because of the speed that it provides. It's very quick in a straight line. I love the element of the specific amount of DRS uses you have throughout a race. I love that strategy element that is involved in this series. But what I cannot get over, and probably due to just my love for downforce, speed and downforce, and I've been spoiled by the Formula One car and the Mercedes and all my time racing in F3, is that this car just, one, does not like curbs, it seems, and which I'm not used to. I'm not used to keeping a wide berth of curbs. And two, there's certain times when I think I'm far enough around the corner to get my foot down the throttle, on the throttle, and expect the car to be planted, and it just spins on me and it just goes, and I can't get it out of my head. I like to think I'm a patient enough guy when it comes to getting my foot down on the throttle with single seaters, which you have to be. You do need some there's an element of throttle control which makes you quicker in these cars, and I just feel like you need so much more in this, and I don't have the patience. And yeah, I don't have the patience and time to put more practice in this car. And it is sad for me to say that, because I know that there's a very strong community in this car. You'll find some real good guys racing in this, and yeah, but it's just not for me. That's why this comes in at number 6. Number 5 on our list is the US F2000, the first car that is on the ladder to the IndyCar series and is the little brother of the Indy Pro 2000. And this car is just a real good, fun car to drive. Not really much more else to say about it. It's quick in a straight line. It's a little bit slower in the corners than it is compared to, say, Formula IR04 car, but that's because it's a mixed series car, so it's also designed to race on oval as well, which I've never really done oval racing. I've only used it on the road, but once again, a car a bit like the Skip Barber. I've actually raced this car less than I have the Skip Barber, but I enjoy this car more, and yeah, I can't really put my finger on it. You'd think I would like the Formula 3.5 more, but this thing just doesn't want to kill me. And yeah, while it does lack a little bit of downforce for the corners, you don't feel like you're lacking enough that you can't get your foot down on the throttle, throw it through some of those corners, and the car's gonna stick. So yeah, just a shame that once again, like many other series that are at D license, it's just suffered in participation due to oversaturation of the D license. But yeah, good fun car to drive, and it comes in at number 5. Number 4 on our list is the Indy Pro 2000, the bigger brother to the US F2000, and this car is a real joy to drive. It has the same characteristics as the US F2000, except that it's just overall a much quicker car in at C license as well. Unfortunately, the reason why this isn't higher up on my list is mainly just because of participation. Being at C license, it is a direct competitor to the Dallara F3 series, and we all know how popular that series is. But I've had some real enjoyable races in this car, and yeah, the only reason why it's not higher up on the list is purely because of that participation. But a car that I highly recommend people try out. It still gets some good official races when it's at popular tracks, like the USF 2000, as it is part of the Road to IndyCar series. It does have a mixture of oval tracks in there as well. But yeah, definitely one that I recommend, and yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed. So that's why it comes in at number 4. So number 3 on our list is the Dallara F3. Now this may come as a bit of a shock to you guys, because I have spent a considerable amount of time in this car for a very long time on iRacing. This was pretty much the only car I drove. I've done track guides. That's how much I love this car. League races, and I've had some good times. And the car has actually got even better recently as well, with the new addition of an updated tyre model, which makes it more reliable. You can actually catch slides now and kind of get the car a bit sideways through corners, which never used to be the case. So yeah, it's only got better as a car to drive, and yeah, really made me fall in love with single seaters, the VR experience, and iRacing as a whole. So it holds a very special place in my heart. Now, I don't race it anywhere near as much as I used to, and one of the main reasons for that, which is why this car is not higher up on my list, and that is because of the lack of racing in the series. Now, F3 is still a very highly participated series, multiple splits at any time during the day, and there's not really any other series or car that has that on iRacing. And unfortunately, it seems to be that even with the oversaturation that we've got of single seaters in the license, that the quality of racing in this series is still really lacking. There's still too many lap 1 warriors trying to send it with full tanks of fuel, cold tires, just a general poor lack of racecraft. People seem to think they're driving GT3s, and any sort of contact in this car, as we know, they're very fragile single seaters, and you can't have that yet. People just, yeah, it's just a real shame, and that's what's stopping me from racing in this car more, because it's a shame. As I said, the car has actually got better over time, but it seems to be that the racing hasn't. That's my personal experience recently. Some of you may disagree. It's always kind of been there with F3, but yeah, with the abundance of different single seaters and cars to race now, that's why I've drifted away from this in the past and recently, and that's why this is in at number 3. It should be higher. If the racing was better, it would be higher. And yeah, you'll see that the next two cars, the reason why they're on that list is because the racing is pretty good at the moment. But yeah, this will always hold a special place in my heart, and that's why it comes in at number 3. Coming in at number 2 is the Formula IR04, a car that I am actually shocked is at number 2. When I first tried this car, I hated it. I have never spun a car so many times when I first jumped into it. Not even the F1 car, because it was so foreign to me in regards to the way that it downshifted, the speed as well. I couldn't understand why this car and this series was so popular. I was very skeptical of this car as well, because it is also a fantasy car. It's a culmination of a number of Formula 4 cars that are available in the world, and iRacing have chucked them together to create this IR04. And of course, with what happened with the Dallara IR01, we all know how that car turned out, which was the last fantasy car they put together. But my God, am I glad that I persevered, because this car, once you get a handle of it and work out how it works, is some of the most fun and best racing I've had on iRacing. Now, it doesn't have the speed of a Formula 3 car. It's a little bit more labored through the corners as well. But the best way to describe this car is that it's just like a big go-kart. You can really throw it into corners. And also, I think as well, the lack of torque that it has compared to F3 or Formula 1 cars is what really serves this car in this series well, because it just promotes wheel-to-wheel racing through corners. And yeah, I've had so much fun in this car. And I think also as well is that that's why it does have a lot of crashes. One, it's down in D license, so naturally people are making a step up from the rookie series into this car and series, so there's that element to it. But also because it promotes so much more wheel-to-wheel racing, there's more crashes. And yes, it's just so much fun though. It is. I mean, there's no doubt about it, and there's a number of content creators and streamers out there who just main this car. They're probably watching this video now. You know who you are. But that's because it is just so much fun in fixed setup or open setup series. And yeah, it's been a very welcome addition, and that's why it comes in at number 2. Coming in at number 1, it's probably no surprise to you all. It is the Mercedes W12 Formula 1 car used by Lewis Hamilton in 2021. And oh, what a machine this thing is. I still remember the first time that I used this car, went round Silverstone. I could not believe the amount of speed I could carry through corners. It still shocks me to this day, going around these tracks, especially when you jump into slower cars. They just feel they feel so much slower in comparison, but they're not. It's just because this is so fast and such a marvel of engineering. When they announced iRacing that they were going to be working in direct contact with Mercedes to bring this car to the platform, and as it still stands, the 2022 version, hopefully minus the porpoising, I couldn't believe it, especially being a VR user as well. Now, as I'm recording this, F1 22, the new Codemasters game, is going to have VR support. But when this was released at the end of 2021, we still didn't know if we were going to get a Formula 1 game with VR. And iRacing has great VR support, and to be able to jump into an F1 car that Mercedes has had direct input on bringing to the sim was just a dream come true and a proper, real good Christmas present. And I have had some great racing in this. Now, of course, once the hype kind of died down and the casuals kind of went off back to their own series, F1 has a great community, and I race against all too familiar faces, and we have had some great battles, some great fighting, and I absolutely love the 100% races that iRacing has provided for us as well. Which we get running alongside real life F1 race weekends. They're a real joy to drive, and I've been really enjoying bringing them to you guys on the channel. So yeah, here it is, the Mercedes W12 in at number 1. I highly recommend you guys work your way up to A license. There is an actual reason to have an A license now. Whereas before it was pretty much a redundant thing, because yeah, this is a real joy to drive and makes iRacing that much better. So yeah, guys, that is it. That is our top 9 single seaters. Let me know what you think in the comments below. What are your favorites? Do you disagree? Do you agree? I'm looking forward to reading them. So yeah, Hope you guys enjoyed that. Remember to hit that like and subscribe button, turn those notifications on, and see you for the next one. Bye.